In a seemingly quiet suburban town, where the roads are shaded by chestnut trees, small porches tremble in the early sun, and wind chimes softly sing in the afternoon air, three souls quietly move along the margins of life. Here, past and present twine together like shifting seasonal winds, touching every crack in the hearts of those who have survived war. Mia Carter, a young black veteran, returned from the fire and chaos with sorrowful eyes and a heavy tread. She lives with her two most loyal companions, Hunter, the big, sharp-eyed, steadfast dog, and Luna, the little gray dog with gentle, soulful eyes that always shine with kindness. For Mia, Hunter is more than a protector, a living wall against the world, while Luna is the last flicker of light on the nights when pain crashes down and sleep is impossible. She thought life might finally settle into peace, but the shadows of the past have never let her go. Mia brought home not just physical scars, but buried secrets, redacted files, a memory fractured by explosions and silenced words, and the real reason she was forced out of the service before her time. And even in the warmth of her dog's embrace, every night, Mia struggles through nightmares with no exit. One morning, before the first rays of sun could chase off the chill, something unexpected happens. A police cruiser idles quietly in front of her house, setting off wary glances and gossip down the street. Baseless suspicion, silent prejudice, and probing stares all seem aimed at pushing Mia and her two dogs out of the place she once called home. Yet in the midst of that storm, the love and loyalty of Hunter and Luna weave a journey no one could have foreseen, where every paw print on a weedy path, every time Luna licks away Mia's tears in panic, and each night Hunter stands silent guard at the door, might become the very key to unlocking truths long hidden. Have you ever wondered, can a dog change the course of a human life? And what happens if their loyalty is the last spark against the darkness of injustice? The moving, breathless journey of Mia, Hunter, and Luna, with twists and turns no one expects, begins on that fateful morning. Nights in the suburbs are always eerily quiet, especially in the late hours when it seems as if the whole town has faded away, leaving only the sound of wind rustling through the old trees and the distant, uncertain hum of a lost truck. But inside that small, warm room, the air is heavy with things the world outside can never know. Wounds that never truly heal, memories that haunt and never fade. Mia lay on her bed, her slender body curled into a tense arc. Cold sweat drenched her skin, each drop soaking into the bedsheet, leaving damp trails no one could wipe away. In her restless sleep, Mia drifted to some far-off place where gunfire echoed. Dirt clung to her uniform. The smell of smoke and fear pressed in from all sides. A place where she lost not only her youth, but a piece of her soul. The faces of her friends flashed by, their eyes fading into a white haze. Then, like a jolt to her mind, a loud explosion sounded, shattering everything. Mia screamed helplessly in her dream, her lips only able to form broken, choking sobs. It was then, in the dim glow of the bedside lamp, that a quiet figure leapt onto the edge of the bed. Luna, a gray dog with hints of gold in her fur, big round eyes full of intelligence and gentleness, quietly moved closer to her owner. Luna didn't need to be called, didn't need to understand exactly what was happening. Guided by the remarkable instincts of a dog, Luna knew Mia was lost in her fear. She crept closer, gently pressing her wet nose to Mia's cheek, then softly licking away the tears streaming down her chin. Her soft fur brushed against Mia's trembling skin, bringing a soothing warmth that words couldn't express. Still trapped in the nightmare, Mia gradually felt Luna's presence. Her shaking hand reached up, fingers fumbling for truth amid the dream, finally finding the dog's head. Luna's steady, gentle breathing sounded close to Mia's ear, slowly pulling her back from the abyss. The pain inside her softened, like a dark wave breaking and dissolving into the boundless sea. Her tear-stained eyes fluttered open to a familiar sight. Luna gazing up at her, those glossy brown eyes full of love and patience. Across the room, Hunter, a larger dog with dark fur and a proud stance, lay quietly by the door. His head lifted slightly, ears pricked, eyes wide and alert, tracking every movement in the room. Hunter didn't jump on the bed or interrupt the embrace between Mia and Luna, but his watchful gaze radiated responsibility and vigilance. It was as if he understood that beyond the ghosts in Mia's mind, there were real dangers outside, and if the slightest unfamiliar noise, a suspicious sound from the porch, were to break the silence, Hunter would be the first shield for the one he loved most. Mia lay still for a while, her hand resting on Luna's head. She whispered, as if to thank the dog, as if to soothe herself, "Thank you, Luna. Without you, I'd be lost forever in the darkness." Luna nuzzled into her palm, her tail gently sweeping across Mia's thigh, making a tiny, tender sound. Hunter let out a quiet sigh, his eyes shifting from alertness to calm, reassured that Mia was okay. No one spoke. Among the three souls in that room, there was only silent empathy, a bond woven from countless restless nights, and an absolute trust that words could never fully express. As Mia's breathing steadied in the darkness and stillness, her memories unexpectedly resurfaced. Months earlier, on a night just like this, except it was in a distant field camp, where gunfire and explosions still hadn't faded. Mia was a young soldier, full of zeal, but burdened by nameless fear. That night, she was wounded in an explosion, blood running down her forehead, her limbs trembling, her mind shattered. It was then that a rescue dog of unknown origin darted into the medical tent. That was Luna, then a service dog with the medical team. Luna sat beside Mia, gently licking the blood from her hand, waiting patiently until Mia's panic finally subsided. It was thanks to Luna's gentle gaze and warm breath that for the first time, Mia felt another living being pulling her back to reality, away from the nightmare spiral of war trauma. But the psychological wounds and haunting memories were too much, and Mia was discharged early. Still so young, her heart unprepared for so much loss and separation. Afterward, by some strange twist of fate, Luna came home with Mia, adopted as family. From that day on, few words were needed between them. A glance, a breath, a midnight embrace was enough to knit together two lives torn apart by war. With Luna by her side, Mia gradually learned how to breathe again, how to smile, how to accept all that she'd lost. Tonight, as her pain surged again, it was once more Luna who anchored Mia, pulling her toward the promise of dawn, reminding her that no matter how terrifying the memories, as long as someone is beside you, life goes on. And so, in the surrounding darkness, Luna quietly kept Mia tethered to the present, while Hunter stood silent guard over their small home. The love of these two dogs had become the thread that held Mia to life, even when everything else seemed to have shattered. Dawn crept up from the horizon, its pink-orange light slowly pushing back the darkness in the small room where Mia, Luna, and Hunter had just made it through another long, turbulent night. Outside, the first birds began to sing softly, blending with the quiet stillness of a suburb still deep in sleep. In that atmosphere, the warmth of the gentle embrace between Mia and Luna seemed to linger in the air, making last night's worries dissolve, replaced by the fragile hope of a new day. Mia gently slipped out of bed, her bare feet touching the cool wooden floor. Luna stretched lazily, giving her head a little shake as if reluctant to leave the side of her owner after a night spent close together. Hunter, who had been awake for a while now, stood by the door, eyes fixed on the morning light slipping through the crack in the curtains. Just by looking at Hunter's focused gaze and steadfast posture, anyone could tell he was no ordinary dog. He was a loyal guardian, a friend who never left Mia's side. Mia pulled on a light jacket and fastened leashes to both Hunter's and Luna's collars. She whispered, a familiar ritual every morning. "Come on, my two warriors, let's go welcome the sun." Luna wagged her tail excitedly, leaping up to Mia's legs, while Hunter stepped closer, gently rubbing his head against her hip as a greeting. The door opened, and the three of them stepped out into the fresh morning, their steps each carrying their own story, yet moving in the same warm rhythm of this unique family. The small street was still empty. Only a few dry leaves rustled underfoot, the wind weaving through the trees, carrying the scent of early summer grass and flowers. Mia relaxed her shoulders, took a deep breath, and felt the sun's first rays on her cheeks. The presence of Hunter and Luna made her steps steadier, and a soft, easy smile, one she hadn't worn in a long time, found its way to her lips. Hunter walked on the outside, dignified and always watchful, scanning both sides of the street like an old soldier who never let his guard down. Luna was more playful, glancing back at Mia now and then as if to ask, "Are you okay?" Then prancing along, radiating a bright, sunny energy. On the sidewalk, an elderly woman with silver hair was bent over, picking up scattered pieces of paper blown from her shopping bag by the wind. Hunter stopped, looked up at Mia as if seeking permission, then slowly walked over. The old lady hesitated, wary at first, but Hunter showed no sign of aggression. He quietly nudged a piece of paper toward her feet with his nose. Before she could react, he picked up a small bag that had fallen from her cart and placed it gently into her wrinkled hands. The old woman's eyes softened, her trembling lips breaking into a gentle smile. "Oh dear, your dog is so well behaved. He even helps old ladies like me." Mia simply nodded, letting Hunter soak in the rare early morning praise. Luna stood beside him, wagging her tail in agreement, sharing in the pride of her big brother. The three of them moved on, leaving behind the old woman's murmured blessings, soft words that echoed deeply in the hearts of those who heard them. When they reached the small park at the end of the street, Luna suddenly stopped, ears perked and eyes alert, following the weak cries of a little girl, about 5 years old, wandering near a bench. On the grass, a tiny wallet lay forgotten, and the child, caught between tears and fear, didn't dare pick it up. Luna didn't wait for a command. She just looked at Mia for permission with shining eyes, then trotted over and carefully picked up the wallet in her mouth. So gently you'd think she was afraid to scratch it. Luna brought the wallet back and placed it in the little girl's hands, then softly licked the back of her hand to reassure her. The girl stopped crying, broke into a wide smile, and instinctively wrapped her arms around Luna's neck, burying her face in the soft fur. The child's mother rushed over, tears of gratitude and relief brimming in her eyes as she repeated, "Thank you, thank you. I've never met a dog this sweet." Mia watched from a distance, not interfering with the simple joy Luna had brought to a stranger's family. In her heart, a pride swelled greater than any medal she'd ever received. Sometimes, true happiness is just that simple. Witnessing Hunter and Luna know how to bring something good to the world. On their way home, more and more curious and friendly glances followed the three companions. An elderly man stopped his bike and chatted to his neighbor about that dog hunter who helped an old lady this morning. A teenager pushing his bike whispered to a friend, "Those two, one old, one young, they look just like soldiers, don't they?" The stories traveled down every street, past every house. People who once kept their distance or looked at Mia with suspicion now began to smile, nodding a greeting as the family of three walked by. Mia felt the change. She didn't need to say anything to prove her past, her years of service, or the wounds still healing inside. As long as Hunter and Luna were with her, with their small but kind actions, they had helped Mia find faith again, in the goodness of people and herself. Before they reached home, Mia paused under a tree, bent down to stroke Hunter's head, and gently scratched Luna behind the ears. Both dogs looked at her with warm, proud, and utterly loyal eyes. In that moment, Mia whispered, a thank you not just for today, but for all the days and nights they'd weathered together. My two warriors. Thank you. Thank you for making this world a gentler place." The wind swept by again, the sun climbed higher, and the three of them walked on, starting a new day like any ordinary family. But deep inside, each of them knew. Love, kindness, and courage were the threads that would always hold them together, no matter what doubts or trials life might bring. Dawn gradually broke, soft golden light filtering through the thin curtains and reaching every small corner of the room. After a long night caught between dreams and reality, Mia finally sat up, faint dark circles still shadowing her eyes. She stroked Luna, her hand gently brushing the dog's warm, silky fur in gratitude for the gentle presence Luna always brought. Hunter still lay by the door, but since before sunrise, he had seemed more restless than usual. Mia put on her jacket, getting ready for a new day. Her very first routine was always to open the door so her two dogs could go out and breathe the early morning air. Hunter, as usual, was the pioneer. He jumped down the steps, walking with firm strides, head held high, eyes sharp as if they could pierce through anything. Luna followed, her little tail wagging in circles on the dew-soaked ground. But this morning was different. Hunter didn't dash into the yard as he always did. Instead, he stopped right at the doorway, his body tense, back slightly arched, tail raised. From his throat came a deep, guttural growl, a sound Mia rarely heard from him. Hunter stared into the distance, at the quiet street in front of the house, his head tilted, ears standing tall, straining to catch any strange signals from the surroundings. Mia followed, a knot tightening in her chest. She bent down and put her hand on Hunter's head, but he only glanced at her, then kept growling at something ahead. A police car, parked silently at the curb. The car didn't belong to anyone familiar in the neighborhood. Early morning, an unfamiliar license plate, no one in sight. Only the cold metallic sheen reflecting in the dawn and the silent, haunting letters POLICE on the car door. Luna quickly sensed something unusual as well. She jumped to Hunter's side, her front paws softly touching the step. Her ears drooped, eyes darkened, and Luna gave a short bark, stretching her body out to shield Mia. Unlike Hunter, the ever-vigilant symbol of strength, Luna radiated sensitivity, an intuition that seemed to read the worry in her owner's eyes. Mia knelt between her two dogs, right hand stroking Hunter's back, left fingers tangled in Luna's soft fur. She whispered, her voice gentle but edged with worry. "It's all right. It's just a police car. Maybe they're just checking the neighborhood, don't worry, okay?" But even Mia could feel a vague chill run down her spine. Since coming back from the military, she'd learned to trust her instincts, and often her unease stemmed more from the alertness of her loyal dogs than from herself. After surviving those harsh days, Mia knew one thing for sure. Animals can sense hidden danger before humans ever realize. And Hunter, Luna had never let her down. The early breeze stirred the flowers by the door. The police car remained completely still. Inside, the faint glow of the dashboard lit up the window, but no one got out or approached. Hunter kept growling, as if warning the world that there was a security team on guard here, and any intruder should think twice. Luna started circling Mia, sniffing the air, searching for any familiar or dangerous scent. Suddenly Luna looked back, locking eyes with Mia, as if asking, "Can we trust this?" Mia smiled softly, though her eyes showed a hint of hesitation. "Luna, Hunter, I'm okay. With you two here, I'm not afraid of anything." At that moment, Hunter shifted, planting himself between Mia and the police car. His back stiffened, front legs lowered, ready to spring at anyone who dared to cross the boundary. It was a scene both beautiful and stirring. A dog who had faced danger on the battlefield, now willing to become a humble shield in everyday life, just to protect the person he loved most. Hunter's growl grew lower, steady, and clear. It was as if he was sending Mia a silent message. "We'll be all right. as long as we stay together." Mia was still for a moment, then bent down, hugging Luna tight and running her hand down Hunter's back. The warmth of the two dogs seeped into her skin, melting away some of the cold fear creeping in. To Mia, Hunter and Luna weren't just dogs. They were friends, family, memories, and her present. Minutes passed in silence until finally the police car reversed and turned down the corner, disappearing behind thick trees. Only then did Hunter relax, lifting his head to look at Mia, pride shining in his eyes. Luna ran in circles, tail wagging, as if she too had just won a silent battle. Mia breathed a sigh of relief, though something still lingered in her chest. That morning, before closing the door, Mia turned to look at her two dogs, Hunter with his bold figure, Luna with those gentle brown eyes, grateful for the loyal warriors life had given her. She knew, no matter what storms lay ahead, as long as Hunter and Luna were by her side, she'd have the courage to face it all. And somewhere in the growing sunlight, the three of them quietly stepped through days full of uncertainty, building a home not just with bricks and mortar, but with trust, loyalty, and unconditional love. The morning calm seemed to have just barely visited the little house when Hunter and Luna finished their duty of guarding the territory against the strange police car. Mia let out a sigh of relief, gently stroking the dogs' heads in a silent gesture of thanks. But before she could return to her usual routine, an unfamiliar sound rang out. The familiar roar of a motorbike racing down the path, mingling with the wind and the rustle of leaves. Luna snapped her head up, her thin ears pricked sharply toward the gate. To Luna, the sounds of the morning were more than just noise. They were a language, an emotional map of the world around her. Hunter was the first to get up, sturdy and sure, striding toward the door. Luna followed, but hesitated, her steps slowing as she recognized a familiar scent that wasn't quite friendly. The iron gate swung open. Kayla appeared. Slender, her hair hastily tied back, her face tense with something she was trying hard to hide. In one hand she carried a bag of groceries, in the other a tightly clutched box of medicine. Her eyes darted around, as if hoping to escape the attention of the two dogs. Mia stepped out of the house, a tired smile lingering on her lips. "Kayla, thanks for coming by so early." Kayla nodded, her voice light and flat. "I'll just leave these here. Let me know if you need anything else. I'm in a hurry today." Luna looked at Kayla, a flicker of hope in her eyes, one paw lifting slightly as if she wanted to step closer. But Kayla backed away, her gaze averted, unconsciously raising her hand to shield her chest. Luna paused in the middle of the yard, acutely feeling the invisible wall that separated her from this girl. Hunter stood silently by, simply observing, neither pushing nor crowding. In the old dog's clear eyes was a calm understanding, as if he knew that some hearts simply need more time to open. Luna inched forward, tail wagging slowly, trying to make her gesture as gentle as possible. She didn't bark, didn't leap up like she would when greeting someone familiar. She just stayed at a respectful distance, close enough to catch Kayla's scent, but far enough not to make her uncomfortable. Kayla bit her lip, still refusing to meet Luna's gaze. Every so often she glanced at Mia, her look a mix of awkwardness and something deeper. Embarrassment, maybe even shame. All those years growing up with Mia, Kayla never understood why her sister loved animals so much. She could never grasp the peace a hug from Luna or Hunter brought. To Kayla, dogs were just dogs. They dirtied the house, disrupted her sleep, and sometimes startled her for reasons she couldn't explain. Luna could feel all of this. Deep down, she always longed for a gentle pat from Kayla, the kind Mia gave with a smile, or for the loving licks Hunter bestowed every morning. But every time Luna tried to approach, Kayla instinctively put up her cold wall, stepping back, avoiding eye contact, clenching her hands as if afraid to be touched. To a dog, that feeling is not so different from standing outside in the cold, looking in at the warmth of a fire you can't reach. Mia noticed, and tried to break the awkward silence. "Luna's a good girl, you know. Just this morning she returned a lost wallet to a child in the street." Kayla managed a weak smile. "Yeah, that's great." But inside, the distance still throbbed like a wound that wouldn't heal. Hunter did nothing but position himself between Luna and Kayla, as if guarding his little sister from the rejection of the outside world. Luna lowered her head, her eyes tinged with sadness. Dogs like her cannot speak, but they are experts at sensing the rhythm of a human heart. Luna knew that if Kayla ever opened her heart, even just a little, she would gladly offer all the warmth she had. Mia took the bag from Kayla, deliberately placing a hand on her sister's shoulder, squeezing gently to convey what words couldn't. "Thank you so much. You should stay for breakfast sometimes. With Luna and Hunter here, our home is even happier." Kayla faltered, eyes dropping to the ground. "Maybe next time, when I'm free. I have to go now." She turned and hurried out the gate without looking back. Luna stood there, watching Kayla's every step. In that fleeting moment, Luna silently wished that one day Kayla would hold her, laugh, and call her name with the same softness Mia did. After the gate closed, Hunter moved to Luna's side, gently nudging her cheek as if to comfort her. Mia knelt down, hugging them both. "You did well, both of you. Sometimes, reaching someone's heart just takes a little more patience." Luna looked up at Mia, her eyes speaking. "I'll wait, Mom. However long it takes, I'll be here, ready for that unexpected hug, even if it's just for a second." Sunlight slipped through the leaves, casting 3 shadows, a person and 2 dogs, across the front steps. These were 3 very different souls who had learned to communicate in ways beyond words. A glance, a wag of the tail, a tight embrace. That bond may not be perfect, and there may still be distance between them. But with enough patience, love will always find its way, even through the most invisible walls. Kayla's motorbike had just faded away at the end of the alley, leaving a lingering silence between the morning sun and the heavy air still clinging to the small yard. Mia stroked Luna's head, murmuring a few words under her breath, her eyes still following her sister's silhouette as it disappeared at the corner. But before she could enjoy a moment of peace, a gentle metallic sound rolled along the road. A strange car wheel touched the curb outside the gate. Hunter growled softly, every muscle tensed, and in a split second he was standing guard at the top step, his body a living shield of steel. Luna froze too, ears perked high, eyes turning to Mia for reassurance. It was a habit honed over years of companionship. At the first sign of her anxiety, both dogs immediately shifted into absolute protection mode. The iron gate creaked open. 2 men stepped inside. One tall, angular-faced, in a dark blue police uniform, the other shorter, calm, but with a cold stare. They were Davis and Miller, 2 notoriously strict officers in this area. Their posture radiated a quiet power, like an undercurrent beneath a seemingly calm river. Mia was used to encounters like this. She gently pulled Hunter and Luna's leashes, softening her voice. "Hunter, Luna, easy now." Hunter never took his eyes off the officers, ears folded back, but his entire body primed to attack or defend in a heartbeat. His look seemed to say, "Don't come near my human, not even a step." Luna circled tightly around Mia's legs, moving slowly, every action carefully measured to keep a safe distance, cautious and anxious at once. Her shining eyes weren't just fearful. They brimmed with worry for her owner, as if she was asking a silent question. "Mom, what's happening? Will they hurt you?" Davis eyed the dogs warily, offering a polite but forced smile. "Good morning, Ms. Mia. We just want to ask you a few questions, if you'll cooperate. There have been some reports about unusual activity in this neighborhood." Miller stayed a little behind, never taking his eyes off Luna and Hunter, one hand resting on his belt near his holster, a reflex that made the air even heavier. Mia kept her voice steady, though tension simmered beneath the surface. "What's this about, Officer Davis? It's just me and my dogs. We never cause trouble for anyone." Hunter lifted his head even higher, chest puffed out, front paws rooted firmly to the ground. His dark fur bristled along his spine, glinting like armor. His eyes never left Davis, not for a single breath. He didn't bark, didn't growl loud. The silent, unwavering stance was warning enough. Luna pressed in closer to Mia, her wet nose nudging her calf, eyes pleading. "Don't be afraid, Mom. I'm here." Davis studied both dogs, then glanced at Miller, a flicker of suspicion in his eyes. "These two shepherds, right? They're pretty big. Do you have their papers?" Mia took 2 ID cards from her pocket, keeping one hand gently on Luna's head, both calming her dog and demonstrating control to the officers. "This is Luna, and this is Hunter. Both registered and fully vaccinated. I even have their training records if you want to see them." The air grew thick. Miller kept his distance, constantly glancing at Mia's hands and Luna's smallest movements. To Hunter, this caution was a sign that his owner was under threat. He took a small step forward, placing himself squarely between Mia and Miller, forcing the officer to step back. "Cute, but they look pretty fierce," Miller said, his tone half mocking, half suspicious. Davis didn't smile, continuing. "We've had reports of loud barking, aggressive dogs in this area at night, near your house. Do you know anything about that?" Mia tightened her grip on the leash, glanced down at Hunter, and replied, "These two are very alert, especially at night. If there's any unusual movement outside, they bark to warn me. But no one has ever been attacked." Luna looked up, eyes clear and honest, as if she too wanted to vouch for her owner's words. She softly licked the back of Mia's hand, sending a message. "Don't worry, Mom. I'll protect you." Miller stepped closer, his gaze shifting from suspicion to cold scrutiny. "Someone said they saw you out late at night with these two, walking the street. It seemed strange." Hunter shivered, his front legs tensing as if ready to leap at any moment. But Mia laid her hand on his back and whispered quietly, "Sit, Hunter. I can protect all of us here." In that instant, Luna moved forward, squeezing between Mia and Davis, her body shielding her owner, firm but gentle. Anyone paying attention would see. This was the act of a dog not only full of love, but ready to face any danger for her human. The air was thick with tension. On one side, 2 men in uniform. On the other, Mia and her 2 dogs, pressed together in an unbreakable line. Hunter and Luna neither barked nor growled. They simply stood their ground, protecting their human with every fiber of their loyal hearts. Officers Davis and Miller, already carrying their own prejudice, stepped forward, not with the posture of routine inspectors, but with the looming threat of men about to subdue a dangerous suspect. To them, Mia, a young woman of color, an early discharged veteran, was someone to be watched or mocked. When Hunter blocked their path and Luna pressed close to Mia, Davis sneered, glancing at the old military jacket Mia wore loosely over her shoulders. "Oh, looks like we're meeting a real hero today, Miller." Miller snickered, his gaze crawling over Mia from head to toe, lingering on her brown skin and the small scar on her neck. "Maybe she got her medal for raising 2 giant dogs and retiring way too soon, huh?" Davis added, his voice half mocking, half joking. "Or did you get an early discharge because you were afraid of the dark? Soldiers these days, so weak." The words stabbed into Mia's mind like a cold blade. Her lips pressed tight, but she said nothing in reply. Only Hunter and Luna sensed her distress, immediately ramping up their vigilance, protecting her with absolute intensity. Luna, especially sensitive to the men's tone and gaze, edged forward, wedging herself between Mia and Davis, eyes never leaving the 2 officers, ears flattened, body rigid and ready to shield. Davis and Miller moved closer. Miller gripped his baton. Davis tightened his hold on the pepper spray, both still wearing their mocking smiles. "Hey, hero, why not tell your 2 heroes here to lie down? Or do we need to call the army for help?" Mia trembled, squeezing the leashes tight, her voice calm but ragged. "Hunter, Luna, stay by me. It's okay." But just as the tension reached its breaking point, Miller suddenly swung his baton, aiming straight at Hunter. Hunter leapt in front of Mia, taking the first blow. His proud frame reeled, but he didn't move from his spot. Luna let out a desperate, piercing cry, trying to pull Mia's sleeve with her teeth, protecting her, desperately searching for an escape route. Davis, lowering his voice, still managed to taunt. "What's there to be scared of? Just a dog. Probably as weak as its owner." Their laughter mixed with shouts from neighbors as cell phones began to appear, recording everything. The sting of pepper spray filled the air. Mia panicked, eyes streaming with tears of pain and outrage. She threw herself over Hunter to shield him. "Stop! Don't hit him! Hunter didn't do anything! Hunter!" In the chaos, one officer swung his baton at Mia. The blow landed hard across her face, blood streaming from her temple. Luna, frantic, nudged Mia's hand with her muzzle, licking her cheek as Hunter tried, through his pain, to look up at his owner with eyes full of apology and love. Now the shouts of neighbors and the whirring of phone cameras filled the small street. The officers' cruel taunts did nothing to shame Mia. Instead, they only sparked the deep, primal urge to protect in her dogs. In the storm of violence, these three souls clung to each other, battered, hurting, but refusing to let go. In the chaos, one officer again swung the baton at Mia. She could only shield her head, but the blow stunned her, blood running down her face. Luna shrieked and leapt in front of Mia, baring her teeth, barking sharply, doing everything she could to protect her and cry for help. At that moment, an elderly neighbor, Mr. Dixon, who'd lived here more than 30 years, flung open his window and shouted, "They're just defending themselves! Stop hitting the dog! Stop it!" Simultaneously, phones from balconies and windows everywhere captured the scene. In the shaky lens of someone's camera, Hunter's battered body shielding Mia, Luna frantically protecting her, were clearer than any excuse the officers could give. Davis, flustered, yelled, "Restrain her! Hold down the big dog!" But it was already too late. Hunter, his body bloodied, looked at Mia with quiet pain. He lay down, his breath rapid, but his eyes never broke their silent connection with her. Eyes that said, sorry, that said love, and showed the last desperate instinct to protect. Luna, terrified, nuzzled Mia's hand, licking her cheek, her tears and blood mixing on her owner's face. "I'm okay, Luna. Don't be afraid," Mia whispered, hands trembling as she hugged both Hunter and Luna, ignoring the agony pulsing from her bruised face. The shouting grew louder. Neighbors rushed out to form a barrier between the police and Mia. Some raised their phones higher, others frantically called 911. The video footage captured it all. Hunter sacrificing his own body to shield his human, Luna frantic but never attacking anyone, Mia bloodied but holding her dogs close. Gradually, everything grew still. But none of those three souls would ever be the same. Hunter struggled to lift his head one last time to look at Mia. His tail thumped faintly against the ground. A farewell, a silent punctuation mark on absolute loyalty. Luna pressed her head to Hunter's neck, her eyes full of pain but fierce resolve. From this day forward, she would be the one to protect Mia to the very end. Outside, the videos began to circulate on social media. People everywhere talked about the young veteran and her extraordinary shepherds. But inside that small yard, there was only blood, tears, and broken hearts. A pain so deep no camera could capture it all. Love, sacrifice, and the instinct to protect, Hunter's, Luna's, became a silent anthem, reaching anyone willing to listen. And from that moment on, everything changed forever. Not just for Mia, but for everyone who witnessed or recorded that painful farewell. The aftermath of the crackdown rippled through the small street like relentless waves, echoes that marked not only Mia's body, but were etched deep in the eyes of Hunter and Luna, her four-legged companions who had faced so much danger with her. Early afternoon sunlight fractured across the air, thick with tear gas residue, glinting on the blood smeared across Mia's cheek and on the tears that had yet to dry. Hunter lay collapsed at her feet, breathing hard, chest rising and falling with pain. And yet, when he saw the blood trickling from Mia's temple, he slowly raised his head and gently licked her cheek with his warm tongue. The gesture was not rushed, but slow, tender, an apology, a small attempt to comfort a pain he could not stop. Hunter's eyes brimmed with tears, filled with 1,000 unspoken things only those who have been truly bonded can understand. Beside him, Luna pressed her head against Mia's arm, her soft fur brushing lightly against her owner's bloody skin, trying to share a bit of gentle warmth. Her little tail wagged, not out of joy but as a small effort to sweep away the fear and heartbreak gripping Mia. She pressed close, those big eyes looking up, heavy with love, worry, and helplessness that could never be put into words. Mia slumped onto the sidewalk, trembling arms wrapping both Hunter and Luna close. Blood still oozed, mixing with tears and sweat on her forehead. Unconcerned with the stares of the crowd or the murmurs swirling around her, all she could do was hold her dogs tight, her silent warriors who chose to stay with her, no matter what happened. Amid the chaos, Mia whispered hoarsely, "It's all right now. Hunter, Luna, thank you, my loves. Without you, I don't know if I would have survived. I'm sorry. I couldn't protect you, but I'll never abandon you. Never." Luna answered by licking the tears and blood from her face, her small paw resting on Mia's thigh as if to say, "We have each other. That's enough." Hunter tilted his head, pressing his nose into her palm, their warm breaths mingling to drive away the chill that lingered even in daylight. Their bond, transcending the limits of species, was pure love between souls that had all survived pain, loss, and loneliness. No one spoke. Only the sounds of breath, Mia's quiet sobs, and the rapid heartbeat of Hunter and Luna filled the air. Onlookers gathered, their phones still recording every moment, not of violence now, but of devotion, loyalty, and forgiveness. Some wiped away tears, whispering, "Poor thing, what a shame." Meanwhile, in a small sunlit apartment across town, Kayla, Mia's younger sister, returned after a long shift. As she put down her bag, a stream of messages and video links from friends buzzed in. "Kayla, your sister's all over the internet. Look." Curiosity mixed with dread, Kayla tapped to watch. The screen lit up, images shaky, audio noisy and chaotic. But then the camera zoomed in on 3 figures huddled together on the sidewalk. A young woman's face smeared with blood. 2 dogs, one big, one small, crowded around her. Hunter licked blood from Mia's cheek. Luna pressed into her shoulder, both gazing at her as if they could cry. Kayla, who had seen stray dogs 1,000 times before, had never paid attention, let alone understood the bond between humans and animals. But now, watching her sister held tight by 2 dogs, braving pain and danger, Kayla felt her heart clench. That image, Hunter sacrificing himself, Luna never leaving Mia's side even for a second, struck straight at the softest corner of Kayla's heart. For the first time, she realized the unbreakable bond between her sister and those 2 dogs, a love that transcended logic or any coldness Kayla herself had carried. Her eyes brimmed with tears, her heart torn as if she'd lost something and found it again at the same time. Maybe, for the first time in her life, Kayla understood that sometimes love and protection don't need to be spoken. It could come in the gentle lick from Hunter, the anxious gaze from Luna, or simply in the trembling arms of a sister she had long taken for granted. And for the first time, Kayla knew she could no longer turn away from such raw pain and fierce love. Evening crept slowly toward dusk, but those 3 souls, Mia and her dogs, still clung to each other on the curb, a living testament to unconditional love, a love powerful enough to soften even the hardest, coldest hearts, including Kayla's own. The days that followed passed in suffocating anxiety and worry. After the uproar, Mia was detained for investigation, while Hunter and Luna were sent to an isolation shelter for animals involved in criminal cases or considered dangerous. News reports and viral videos split public opinion, but loneliness and despair engulfed every minute in Mia's cold, empty room. Kayla, since witnessing that video, was no longer the girl who avoided everything related to her sister and the two dogs. She was determined to act, no matter her fear or the emotional barriers inside her. On her first permitted visit, Kayla walked through the animal shelter's iron gates on unsteady legs. The smell of disinfectant, distant barking, and the anxious eyes of caged animals overwhelmed her. The staff directed Kayla to kennel number 17. In the small room, two familiar figures were curled up in the corner. Hunter, still sturdy as a shield, though his eyes were red with exhaustion, and Luna, the little gray and gold dog, gaze sad, but as clever as ever. The moment Luna saw Kayla, she perked up, wagging her tail but not barking. Kayla approached gently, glancing around to make sure no one was watching too closely. Hunter got up, pressed against the wire mesh, sniffing Kayla's hand through the small opening. There was a strange silence between a girl who had once been distant and two dogs waiting for a miracle. Kayla called softly, "Luna, Hunter, Mia's okay. She misses you both so much." No one replied, but in Hunter's eyes there was something both urgent and trusting. Suddenly, Luna turned her head, sniffed along the floor, and focused on a small crack near the base of the wall. Her wet nose rooted at the gap, pawing as if searching for something. Then, quickly, Luna deftly pulled out a small object. The dim light glinted off a mini memory card, dusty and as if someone had hurriedly shoved it into the crack. Luna lifted the card gently between her teeth, not biting or chewing, just holding it softly and quietly, moving toward the door. Hunter understood, instantly positioning himself in front of Kayla, snorting softly, then suddenly letting out a loud, commanding bark, so loud the staff in the next room glanced over through the window. Seizing the moment, Luna nudged the card out, rolling it right to the door's edge. Her eyes looked up, waiting. Kayla froze for a moment, not yet comprehending. And then Hunter gave a low growl, nosing the card even closer toward her. As Luna handed Kayla the memory card, a fleeting thought flashed through the young woman's mind. How, in such a tightly controlled, noisy shelter, had a memory card ended up with Luna? Kayla hesitated, searching Luna's gaze for a silent answer. Luna couldn't speak, but her eyes told a story. During her days in the shelter, Luna had quietly sniffed every corner, not only out of instinct, but also from longing and worry for Mia. Earlier, when a young staff member had been cleaning near the kennel, distractedly scrolling his phone and forgetting the small memory card, Luna had watched closely. Thanks to her keen observation and sharp memory, Luna noticed it fall into the crack, flush with the cold floor. With the special perseverance only a trained dog could have, she quietly scratched the sand away, nudged the card with her snout, and hid it well, waiting for the right moment. Because Luna knew that anything dropped in this place could be the last hope to save Mia and herself. Luna kept the card with her, never swallowing or destroying it, only waiting for someone she could trust, someone who could decipher it and turn it into hope. Now, looking at Kayla, the young woman Luna had never felt close to before, the little dog had no hesitation in trusting her with this hope. No explanation was needed. With a gentle lick on Kayla's hand, Luna seemed to say, "You can do this, don't give up." And for the first time in her life, Kayla didn't just receive an object, she received a mission from the little dog. All of this took only seconds, but it was enough for Kayla to feel the intelligence and desperate determination of these two dogs. She quickly picked up the card, slipped it into her inner pocket, and concealed it before the staff returned. The staff asked casually, "Is everything all right?" Kayla shook her head, replying quickly, "I just miss my sister. I wanted to see them for a bit." The staff smiled and left, unaware that a tiny clue, capable of changing the fate of all three lives, had just been quietly transferred. Kayla stayed a few more minutes. Hunter and Luna didn't dare show too much excitement, only gently pressed their heads to the wire mesh, eyes following Kayla's every move as if to say, "Stay strong. We believe in you." In that moment, Kayla understood that these creatures weren't just pets, and certainly not culprits. They were friends, family, the anchor for those who had lost faith in the world. She turned away, heart churning, one hand gripping the cold memory card in her pocket, carrying with it the hopes of Hunter, Luna, and herself. The story of a dog's love and perseverance began to spread, quietly but persistently, like Luna's unwavering gaze through the wire mesh. And perhaps in that moment, Kayla realized, the journey to clear Mia, Hunter, and Luna's names was no longer just a duty, but the truest response she could give for all that the three of them, two people and a dog, had once failed to understand about each other. The atmosphere at the isolation shelter that afternoon carried a tense, restless note, as if every feeling still hung in the air, unsettled by all that had happened. The silence seemed to contradict the anxiety in Mia and her two dogs' hearts, but in the midst of that quiet, the first subtle shifts of fate began to appear. In a small office at the end of the hallway, Lena, a slender investigator with a low ponytail of brown hair and eyes that were both sharp and deep, sat quietly, pondering the case file on Mia. On her desk, a cup of coffee had long gone cold, but Lena didn't care. She had been tasked with reviewing all the evidence, and deep down, something about this case weighed more heavily on her than usual. The image of the two imprisoned dogs, their pleading eyes, and Mia's steadfast demeanor kept circling in her mind. Lena wondered, amid all the noise, if anyone had truly listened to the voices of these beings now suffering injustice. Stepping out of her office, Lena decided to visit the dogs in person. The hallway was colder than she expected, late daylight streaking through fogged glass, drawing out her shadow along the gray tiles. Her footsteps echoed, mixing with the distant barking, the clatter of metal, and the sharp smell of disinfectant that filled the air. She stopped in front of Hunter and Luna's kennel. Inside, Hunter remained calm, lying by the door, head raised in watchfulness. Luna stood at the edge of the cage, ears down, her bright eyes full of hope, but also showing fatigue and weariness from all they'd been through. Just as Lena was about to leave, her gaze met Luna's, a look that jolted every feeling inside her. Those round eyes, that steady, clear gaze awakened memories Lena thought she'd forgotten. She froze, hand trembling slightly. Memories surged back like a wave. A summer night when Lena, then a patrol officer, was trapped in a dark alley. A violent mugger lunged at her, the knife flashing in the dim streetlight. She had thought she wouldn't make it out. But then, out of the darkness, a small dog had charged in, barking, biting the attacker's leg, turning the tide and saving Lena's life. When the chaos cleared and she searched for the dog, it was gone in the rain, leaving only the image of big, gentle eyes and gray-gold fur. Lena crouched, watching Luna silently. Her breath quickened. Her hand trembled as she raised it to the cage. There was no doubt. Luna was that dog. The same gaze, the same coat, the same calm courage that had saved Lena at her lowest point. She whispered, "Luna, is it you? You saved me. Thank you. Thank you for saving me that night." Luna seemed to recognize her, quietly pressing her head to Lena's hand through the cold bars. That gentle lick to her fingers was an old greeting, a sign of connection that rose above words. Tears blurred Lena's vision, gratitude, emotion, and determination rising up in her. Now, she had an even stronger reason to pursue the truth to the end, to protect Mia and these dogs with everything she had. "This time I'll protect you," Lena vowed silently. At that very moment, Kayla, still trembling after all she'd witnessed, entered the isolation room, clutching the small memory card Luna had given her earlier. Kayla stopped short at the sight of Lena and Luna's quiet interaction, something she had never seen before between a human and an animal. Curiosity and emotion welled up in her. Kayla came closer, her eyes fixed on Luna. Though she'd always been nervous, even cold, around animals, this time her heart was stirred by the unconditional trust the little dog had placed in her. With trembling hand, Kayla reached through the cage, touching Luna for the first time. Luna didn't flinch, but gently licked Kayla's hand. A simple gesture, saturated with gratitude, as if to say, "Thank you for believing in and helping us." That gentle lick filled Kayla with real warmth, melting the defensive wall she'd carried for so long. In that moment, Kayla was no longer the distant, cold younger sister. Emotion overtook her, along with worry for her sister. Among these two small beings and herself, a new bond was forged, a beginning of true compassion and the determination to find justice. Lena looked up at Kayla, nodding as if to send a message. "We're on the same side." And then, as if sealing an unspoken pact, these two women, each carrying her own wounds, each once lost or doubtful, were now brought together by Luna, ready to fight for the truth and the love owed to these brave dogs. From the very first trembling touch of Kayla's hand on Luna's soft fur, everything changed, quietly but profoundly. That night, Kayla went home with red-rimmed eyes, clutching the memory card tightly in her hand. Lena, too, lay awake. The image of that little dog from years ago now an unshakable motivation, urging her to act more decisively than ever. The next morning, an emergency meeting was held in the investigation office. Kayla sat beside Lena, her palms sweating as she inserted the USB memory card into the computer. The first images appeared on the screen. Blurry, shaky video, but clear enough to reveal what really happened that day. Hunter leaping to shield Mia as police raised their batons, Luna desperately trying to pull her owner to safety, the chaos and shouting erupting all around. Not once did either dog attack first. On the contrary, they only acted when their owner was threatened. Kayla's eyes filled with tears. She had never imagined a day when she would hope for footage like this to be seen by the world. Lena and her colleagues analyzed every frame, comparing it to videos recorded by bystanders. From every angle, the same images appeared. The two dogs never leaving Mia's side. Hunter's eyes always locked on his owner, ears pricked and alert, while Luna circled her legs, protecting and comforting her. They stopped at the frame where Hunter licked the blood from Mia's cheek. A moment no words could capture. Only the heart could feel. Lena didn't need to say much. Even those colleagues who'd once doubted now fell silent, moved. In the cramped room, only the tapping of keyboards and soft sniffles broke the quiet. "These aren't wild animals," one colleague murmured. "This is a family." Immediately after, local media were invited to a press conference on the case's resolution. Mia, her cheek still bruised, stepped out of isolation with Hunter and Luna at her side. Crowds of reporters, curious neighbors, and those who had once only peeked from behind closed doors now gathered in droves outside the shelter's gate. Kayla stood next to her sister, gripping Luna's leash tightly, her eyes still red but shining with pride. When Lena declared before the cameras, "Mia Williams and the dogs Hunter and Luna are completely innocent. They only defended and protected each other from unjustified police aggression. We apologize for the suffering they have endured. The truth has been restored to those who deserve it." The whole yard erupted in applause, cheers, and tears. Sensing the emotion, Hunter wagged his tail harder than ever, then suddenly leapt up to hug Mia, front paws around her neck, pink tongue lavishing away the remaining blood and tears from her face. Mia laughed and sobbed at once, clutching her dog as if holding on to the most precious thing in life. Luna, not to be outdone, darted around, weaving between people, barking and jumping to lick Mia's hand, then gently tugging Kayla's sleeve. A silent thank you to the sister who had bravely taken her side. Kayla broke down in tears, unable to hold back. She knelt to hug both Hunter and Luna, her sobs blending with laughter, all barriers of coldness finally breaking. I'm sorry for not believing in you, for not believing in Mia." Kayla's voice trembled, but her embrace grew ever tighter, Fear and distance completely dissolved. The scene was captured by dozens of cameras, broadcast throughout the city, sparking a wave of support. Online, the comments overflowed with love, admiration, and anger at the injustices suffered. For the first time, people realized that in a place where only tragedy seemed possible, there still existed a gentle, steadfast light called the love between humans and dogs. Lena stood quietly to the side, watching the reunion through misty eyes. She knew she had kept her promise to Luna and her own past. She turned to the reporters and declared, "This is not the end. I pledge to expose every hidden truth, to ensure no one is wrongfully accused, so that brave souls like Hunter and Luna never have to suffer injustice again. The truth will continue to come out, and justice will be served to the very end." Within the arms of these three women, two sisters and an investigator, and their two remarkable dogs, the bond between human and animal shattered every barrier, igniting new hope for even the most vulnerable souls. Hunter licked Lena's face in a gesture like a handshake, while Luna pressed her head to Kayla's leg. There, under the glare of camera flashes, a new family had formed, ready to move forward, side by side, no matter what challenges lay ahead. The rush of emotion from their day of exoneration still lingered, leaving a lingering warmth in Mia's small home. After all the tension, Hunter and Luna seemed more at peace, their eyes softer, their breathing steadier as they lay by her feet. But that peace didn't last long. Sometimes happiness arrives so suddenly, only to awaken the unfinished stories still buried in memory and reality. That morning, after the press had finally left, Mia sat at the kitchen table, her hands still trembling as she made her usual cup of coffee. Luna and Hunter lay by the door, their eyes following her every move, unwilling to look away from the person who had weathered every storm with them. As Mia sipped the hot coffee, Luna stirred. The little dog glanced up at her, then suddenly got up and started sniffing around Mia's old backpack hanging by the door. Hunter watched, alert. Luna moved quietly, not pouncing, but lowering her head and sniffing carefully around the bag as if searching for something unfamiliar. Mia noticed, her brow furrowing in curiosity. "What is it, Luna?" she asked, her voice tired but tinged with interest. Luna pressed her nose to the worn military strap on the backpack, where a frayed piece of fabric clung, the same strap that had been Mia's constant companion during her service. Suddenly, Luna stopped, delicately tugging at the fabric with her teeth, then gently scratching until a small corner of paper appeared underneath. With her unique patience, Luna pushed the slip of paper out with her nose, then gave a small bark to call Hunter over. Hunter backed up to make space but never looked away from the action. Mia moved closer, a bit confused. She knelt beside Luna, her hand shaking as she picked up the scrap of paper the dog had uncovered. It was a small, carefully folded note. Stiff, water and dirt-stained paper that looked like it had been hidden away in a forgotten spot. Unfolding it, Mia saw a series of symbols, lines of letters and numbers interwoven like some kind of military code. The scent of old paper brought memories flooding back. Mia froze, every sense on high alert. Beside her, Luna stared intently, her eyes seeming to say, "This matters, Mom." Hunter rested his head lightly on Mia's leg, offering a steady warmth. The two dogs pressed close, silently encircling Mia as if to take her back to the fateful moments of her past. Mia turned the note over and over, eyes carefully scanning each character. In that moment, she remembered her days stationed at the border, endless shifts under a cold moon, and that fateful afternoon, the day she was wounded and forced into early discharge. Back then, in the chaos after a sudden explosion, Mia fell, thinking she'd lost everything. But before her memory faded, it was Luna, the dog she had only just met at camp, who darted into the smoke, bit her jacket, and dragged her to safety. Later, in the hospital, Mia learned Luna had gotten separated from her K9 unit and run straight for her, risking everything. Thinking of this, Mia's hands shook. She realized the note must have fallen out or been hidden in her backpack that day, the day she left the battlefield in confusion and regret. And now, through instinct and extraordinary memory, Luna had detected something odd when Mia reclaimed the backpack from evidence after being cleared. Luna sat pressed against her, watching every shift in Mia's face. Hunter gave a soft sneeze, nudging even closer, reminding Mia that no matter how painful the past, she still had the present with these two. "Thank you, Luna. If not for you, I'd never know what secrets still lingered," Mia whispered, stroking Luna's head. She set the note on the table, took a photo, and opened her military code app. Hunter kept his eyes on her, while Luna's tail wagged softly as if she already sensed something big was about to be revealed. After a few searches, Mia realized the code on the paper was her disability file number, along with cryptic notes about the explosion that day. A case that had been hastily closed, never explained, the reason she'd been forced to leave the military. For a moment, all the unspoken fears and questions of the past years surged within Mia. She clutched the note, turning to Luna, the loyal dog who had pulled her from the dark so many times and was now opening a new door to the truth. Hunter lifted his head, narrowing his eyes as if to say, "We'll go on together." Luna pressed her head to Mia's chest, tail brushing softly, offering reassurance. The air in the kitchen warmed with something strange and new. Outside, golden morning light shone through the window, illuminating the two dogs' backs and casting long shadows across the floor, a testament to the unbreakable bond between human and dog, between loyalty and the truth that would someday come to light, no matter the cost. And so, a new journey began. No one would be alone anymore. Mia knew, with Hunter and Luna by her side, she'd have the strength to face every secret and every truth of the past, no matter how painful. The echoes of that fateful morning still lingered in Mia's small house, where the first rays of sunlight touched Hunter's sturdy back and Luna's soft fur. After the discovery of the mysterious coded note, Mia's mind was full of unanswered questions. Yet her dogs never took their eyes off her. Every movement carried a simmering alertness, a sixth sense found in animals that have lived too close to danger. As afternoon fell, the sky faded to a pale gray. Mia sat by the window, turning over every character on the old note, trying to piece together clues from years ago. Luna curled at her feet, eyes shining, watching every small change in Mia's expression. Hunter, meanwhile, couldn't sit still. His large, muscular body became an invisible wall at the entryway. A faint sound came from the iron gate, a soft scraping on the concrete. Hunter sprang to attention, ears pointed, eyes darting to the door. He moved in silence, each step stealthy. Luna raised her head, immediately alert, her gaze turning from gentle to sharp. Mia noticed the dog's shift in behavior. The instincts from her military days made her skin prickle. Hunter stopped at the gate, nose pressed to every crevice. Suddenly he gave a quiet snarl, sniffing around the edges, especially near a potted plant on the right. Luna followed, glancing at Hunter and sniffing along the wall. They worked together, calm, methodical, as if this wasn't their first time hunting for something unusual. Hunter scratched at the base of the plant, snuffling intently. Luna barked a short warning, then gently bit and tugged at a small object sticking out of the soil. Mia hurried over and saw Luna pull out a tiny metal device, no bigger than a finger, wrapped in plastic. Hunter kept sniffing along the fence, eyes on the empty street. Mia crouched and took the object from Luna's mouth. One glance was enough. She knew it was a listening device. Tiny wires connected to a circuit board, the tip still damp with fresh dirt. Someone had planted it recently. A chill ran through Mia. She looked at Luna, then at Hunter. "Good job, both of you. Without you, I'd have never known I was being watched." Luna pressed her head into Mia's palm, her eyes full of reassurance. "You're safe now. We've got you." Hunter licked Mia's wrist, then turned back to the road, giving a low growl. In his eyes, The threat hadn't passed. The house's peace was only surface deep. For Hunter and Luna, the patrol never really ended. The air in the yard tightened under the lengthening shadows. Mia hurried inside with the bug, switching on the light to examine it. She cleaned it carefully, recounting stories from her days in the service to her dogs as a way to calm her nerves. "Back at the base, we used to get bugged like this. But then I had my team. Now it's just us." Luna crept closer, brown eyes full of absolute trust. Hunter sat at the doorway, a silent sentinel. Suddenly, a car rolled slowly past the alley, the engine's drone echoing through the quiet. Hunter narrowed his eyes, watching every move, hackles raised. A shiver ran through Mia. She could feel the threat circling her home. Maybe someone didn't want the truth about her injury revealed, or some hidden force was behind the old events. But no matter who it was, Mia was no longer alone. The bond she shared with her dogs had become a small family, a fortress of love, loyalty, and vigilance. She gently stroked Luna's head, her hand still trembling. "If it weren't for you, I'd never know what's lurking out there." Luna cocked her head, tail wagging with pride. Hunter looked in from the door, his eyes shining with unbreakable resolve. And so, in the fading gray of dusk, the little house became a front line once more. Mia, Hunter, and Luna together. Old wounds weren't healed, and new dangers circled, but the bond between them had never been stronger. The dogs weren't just companions or guards. They were true teammates, always one step ahead to protect their human from whatever threats might come. Mia closed the door and pulled her dogs close, silently promising, whatever storms lay ahead, as long as she had Hunter and Luna, she'd have the courage to face any darkness. And as an unspoken vow, both dogs gazed out at the empty street, ready for whatever was coming, because they knew protecting their human was their life's purpose. The uneasy aftertaste of finding the listening device still lingered in Mia's mind. Night crept in again, this time not just bringing the vague fear of dangers lurking outside, but also stirring up ghosts from the past she thought she'd buried. In the small room, under the dim glow of a table lamp, Mia sat motionless, her hand tracing the coded paper she'd just found. Her eyes drifted far away, toward memories of her military life, threatening to surge back like a cold tide. Hunter hadn't moved from his post by the door, sitting solid as a steadfast sentry. His bright eyes scanned constantly, listening and analyzing every sound from the yard. Luna, after making her rounds in every corner, gently hopped onto the sofa, pressing close to her owner. She curled up, resting her chin on Mia's thigh, her big brown eyes gazing up at Mia's face with infinite empathy. Mia hesitated, as if afraid her voice might awaken old wounds, but the patient, loving eyes of Luna gave her enough courage to begin. She gently stroked the little dog's head, each strand of soft fur slipping through her fingers, a touch that made even the heaviest feelings a bit easier to bear. "You know, sometimes I wonder, if things had gone differently back then, would we be here together like this now?" Mia's voice was soft in the little room, not expecting an answer, just pouring out her heart to her most loyal companions. Luna looked up, letting out a soft, gentle whimper, listening and sharing. Hunter blinked, glancing back at Mia for a moment, then resumed his vigilant watch. His big ears stood tall. Even at night, his eyes shone with the silent responsibility and love he carried for his person. Mia remembered the day she enlisted, memories rushing back in a torrent. Training in the rain, teammates' laughter in the barracks, the pride of wearing the uniform. But it all vanished after that ambush. The smoky haze, bullets whistling by, the stabbing pain in her back, and her own screams echoing amid the chaos. Mia was sent home, diagnosed with nerve damage and trauma. The medical file was hastily written, her discharge sudden, as if she'd become nothing more than a shadow cast aside by the past. "I've tried to forget, but every night it all comes back so clearly." Mia's eyes filled with tears. "I never really knew what happened that day. Why me? Why was I discharged so quickly without anyone explaining anything? Luna pressed in closer, gently licking the back of Mia's hand. A soft gesture that seemed to say, "You're not alone. We're here." Hunter gradually moved a little nearer, sitting closer by the bedroom door, his gaze less tense, soothed by Mia's presence. It was as if Mia's anxiety reached her dogs, and they absorbed her pain with all the instinctual love they could give. Mia bowed her head onto Luna's back, a quiet sob escaping her lips. To her, Luna was more than the dog who rescued her from nightmares. She was the embodiment of patience, loyalty, and unconditional empathy. Maybe there's no one left to ask about that past, but I believe you'll help me find the truth. We've come this far together through the hardest days, and I know, Hunter and Luna, you always see things I can't. Outside, night wind rustled the trees. The silence felt almost suffocating. But inside the small house, the bond between these three souls had never been stronger. Hunter stretched out, laying his chin on his front paws, eyes half closed but nerves taut as a bowstring. Luna snuggled even closer, her chest rising and falling in time with Mia's breath. Every lick, every gentle touch was a promise. We're here. You're not alone. The night stretched on, seemingly endless, but thanks to the quiet presence of her two dogs, Mia finally drifted to sleep. No longer trapped by nightmares, but carried by an unfamiliar peace, because she knew no matter how painful the past, here in the present there was love and unwavering loyalty beside her. And maybe, just maybe, thanks to this unique bond, tomorrow Mia would begin to unravel the knots inside her heart, so she could truly start over, together with Hunter and Luna. In the days after the upheaval, the atmosphere in the small house seemed to change. Even though danger still lurked somewhere outside, inside, the bond between human and dog, between family members, grew clearer, like a golden thread slowly being woven through each ordinary moment. After a long, sleepless night with Hunter and Luna, Mia had been able to pour some of her burdens into the silence. And so the next morning, Kayla came to visit, her eyes still carrying traces of awkwardness and hesitation. The morning sky outside was clear, soft sunlight filtering through the leaves, casting sparkling patches of light onto the yard. Kayla stepped into the living room, seeing Luna curled up close to her owner, the dog's eyes glowing with gentle kindness. Mia gave a gentle nod, making space for her sister. Maybe she understood that the greatest changes don't come from big arguments or dramatic acts, but from moments so simple, when people are willing to open their hearts, even to a dog. Kayla stood awkwardly in front of Luna, her hand lightly gripping the faded red leash. Luna looked up, tail swishing gently as if sensing what was about to happen. The awkwardness lingered for a few seconds, until Kayla, summoning her courage, knelt down and with trembling hands clipped the leash to Luna's collar. Her hands, once unfamiliar with the feel of fur, the warmth and vitality of animals, now touched that soft coat with a sense of both strangeness and surprising closeness. "Hi, Luna. Want to go for a walk with me today?" Kayla spoke softly, her voice still timid, but her eyes flickered with a new hope. Luna didn't answer with words, just moved closer, looking up with those deep brown eyes, then patiently let Kayla lead her outside. The dog walked gently, not pulling the leash as she would with Mia, as if she sensed Kayla's nervousness and decided to stay right by her side, step by cautious, patient step. The morning street was quiet, sunlight gilding rooftops, fallen leaves drifting by the curb. Kayla walked slowly, Luna always beside her, tail wagging in a steady, reassuring rhythm. Now and then, Luna pressed closer, looking up for a signal from Kayla. Each time, Kayla felt her heart settle, her anxiety and fear easing bit by bit. The two sisters had always been distant, not just because of age, but because Kayla had grown up in the shadow of her older sister, the brave one, admired and daring, while Kayla always felt like the dependent one, never strong enough. That feeling made Kayla both admire and avoid Mia, sometimes even keeping her distance from everything connected to her, including the dogs. When they reached the little park at the end of the street, Kayla sat down on a familiar wooden bench and gently let go of the leash. Luna understood, quietly sitting beside her, resting her head on Kayla's knee, closing her eyes to enjoy the first tentative strokes from her new friend. The smooth warmth of Luna's fur, her calm, even breathing, seemed magical. Each breath slowly melting away Kayla's old guilt and insecurities. "I always thought I wasn't good with dogs, or with Mia either," Kayla whispered, staring into the distance. "But Luna, these last few days, seeing you and Hunter risk everything to protect Mia, I was really moved. I understand now. Sometimes love doesn't need big words but shows up in small, patient acts, just like you do." Luna gave a soft whimper, looked up at Kayla, then gently licked her hand, an act of comfort, lending courage. Kayla laughed, for the first time really feeling the gentle warmth radiating from a creature who had once seemed so distant, now suddenly so close. "If I can, I want to protect Mia too, just like you, Luna." Kayla smiled, softly stroking Luna's ears. Luna closed her eyes, fully enjoying the touch, her tail wagging faster, her heart full of simple happiness. In that moment, the distance between person and dog disappeared. Love began to grow from empathy, from licks and gentle gazes, born from a sincerity humans too often forget in life's rush. When Kayla and Luna returned home, even the air in the house seemed warmer, gentler. Kayla glanced down at the little dog, smiled, and promised herself, from now on, she would no longer be afraid, and she would never again turn away from her loved ones, or from these wonderful dogs. Somewhere nearby, Hunter stood quietly on the porch, watching. His gaze was full of understanding, as if to say, "Welcome, Kayla. Welcome to this small but unbreakable circle, the circle of trust, protection, and unconditional love." After that first morning when Kayla truly connected with Luna, she felt infused with a new energy. Her old fears about animals, about her sister, gradually shrank in the warmth and loyalty that the two dogs brought. Kayla started to take on more around the house. She would often be the one to take Luna for walks, both to train herself and to let the little dog enjoy some freedom. Hunter, though usually quietly guarding the house, would always glance back as they left, as if silently entrusting Kayla with his confidence. That morning, fresh air drifted over the streets around the town. Leaves rustled above, and a gentle breeze swept down quiet corners. Kayla walked slowly along the sidewalk, gripping the leash tight, Luna pacing softly by her side. Each step, each gentle lick of Luna's tongue seemed to pull Kayla closer to herself, closer to the childhood she'd neglected for so long because of shame and inner walls. But then, in that peaceful scene, danger crept in. No one expected darkness to lurk in broad daylight, or that what felt safest could become threatened in an instant. As Kayla and Luna turned into a narrow alley leading to the park, Kayla sensed something was wrong. A black car with dark-tinted windows was parked by the curb. A tall man in a bulky jacket, baseball cap pulled low, leaned against a lamppost, his eyes glaring straight at them. Luna sensed the threat immediately, her fur bristling, small body tensed and ready, eyes locked on the stranger. Kayla felt her heart pounding, her hand tightening on the leash, reminding herself to stay calm. She walked faster, but just as they passed, the man lunged, grabbing Kayla's shoulder with a huge hand, hissing in a threatening whisper, "Don't move, don't scream!" Kayla froze in fear, about to struggle, when Luna sprang up, teeth flashing. The little dog clamped hard onto the man's sleeve, forcing him to release Kayla for a split second. A deep tear in the man's jacket. Fabric and blood mixed was the first mark Luna left, a clue that couldn't be erased. But the man wasn't easily deterred. He threw Luna off with a brutal kick. Kayla rushed to her dog, screaming. Still, the kidnapper managed to grab her again, dragging her toward the car. Luna, hurt but relentless, scrambled to her feet and barked as loudly as she could. The cry rang out across the neighborhood, a desperate, brave alarm from a small, fierce soul. Kayla looked at Luna, eyes brimming with tears. "Luna, run! Get help!" But Luna wouldn't leave. She kept attacking, forcing the man to struggle, until finally he managed to throw Kayla into the back seat and sped off like fleeing a nightmare. Tires squealed, but in that final instant, Luna snatched another scrap from the man's jacket, tearing away blood-stained fabric, an instinctive move, proof she knew what mattered. As the car vanished down the street, Luna barked one more time, then ran, bloodied paws pounding, heart set on saving her family. Hunter, hearing the alarm, leapt from the porch, meeting Luna as she ran home. One look was all it took for him to understand something was wrong. Instantly, he and Luna raced to alert Mia and the neighbors. Luna barked non-stop, leading Hunter, eyes burning with fear and determination. Mia rushed out at the sound, seeing Kayla gone and Luna shaking, wounded, a bloody rag clenched in her mouth. Seeing Hunter and Luna like this, Mia needed no explanation. She knew something terrible had happened. She dropped to her knees and hugged Luna, tears threatening to spill. "What happened, Luna? Where's Kayla?" "Oh, God," Luna whimpered, gently placing the fabric in Mia's hand, looking up with mournful eyes. Hunter pressed in, nudging Mia's leg as if to say, "We won't leave Kayla alone. We'll fight together." In that moment, the love, loyalty, and anxiety of the dogs showed their sacred worth once again. Despite the pain, despite her wounds, Luna didn't give up. She became the only link leading everyone back to Kayla. The little dog's sacrifice and courage painted a moving portrait of friendship and devotion, where human and animal joined together against whatever danger lay ahead, even as the darkness outside threatened to swallow them whole. The chaos and anxiety after Kayla's abduction had barely subsided when Hunter sprang into action. At the very moment Mia hugged Luna, her hands trembling as she clutched the bloody scrap of fabric, Hunter made a silent vow that he would not let anyone in his family be hurt again. His eyes flashed with cold determination and deep responsibility. With his sharp nose, he inhaled every remaining scent on the rag. Hunter sniffed carefully, step by steady step, as if redrawing in his mind the kidnapper's route. Mia was still shaken and hurting, but she quickly pulled herself together when Hunter nudged her. The big dog pressed against her leg, looking into her eyes as if to say, "Trust me. I'll lead you to where Kayla is." Without hesitation, Mia threw on her jacket, stuffed the fabric evidence into her pocket, and hurried after Hunter. At that moment, all fear of the past, all old wounds, faded away. The only thing left was the instinct of a sister and a warrior, ready to face any danger to find her loved one. Hunter led the way, tracking every blade of grass, every tiny scuff on the ground, every faint drop of blood left by Luna's injuries along the path where Kayla had been dragged. The streets felt unusually long and silent, but whenever Mia faltered or slowed, Hunter would turn back, gently nuzzle her hand, giving her strength. Together, the two, one human, one dog, moved through narrow alleys and winding back streets of the town. Meanwhile, in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts, Luna and Kayla were locked together in a dark room, only a thin beam of light coming through a high crack. Though tied hand and foot, Kayla never stopped whispering encouragement to Luna. "Don't be scared, Luna. I believe Hunter will come." "I believe." Luna pressed close, her anxious eyes never leaving Kayla. Every time a sound came from outside, Luna would growl, ready to protect her friend, small and exhausted as she was. She scratched hard at the door, making desperate scraping sounds, hoping someone outside would hear. Then hurried footsteps echoed in the hallway. Hunter, following every blood trail and cloth scent, had tracked them all the way to the warehouse door. He stopped, sniffed deeply, and barked, a deep, powerful sound, sending a signal for help through the stillness. Mia was right behind him, hope rising when she heard Kayla's faint voice respond. "We're here! Hunter, Luna, we're here!" Hunter didn't hesitate, ramming his shoulder into the rotten wood with all his strength. The door shook with every thump. Inside, Luna felt it and leaped up to help, scratching, pushing, barking, adding to the pressure from both sides. After a few frantic breaths, the door finally gave way, hinges popping from the wall. Light poured in, bathing their worried, sweat-streaked faces. Mia rushed in, embracing Kayla and tearing at the ropes with trembling hands. Luna sprang up, licking Kayla's face over and over, ears flattened as if apologizing for not protecting her sooner. Kayla hugged Luna tight, sobbing, "I'm okay now. With Luna, with Hunter. I'm not afraid of anything." Hunter quietly stood by, licking Mia's hand gently as if to say, "Everyone is safe now." That reunion hug, even without words, held all the gratitude, relief, and love the three shared. No one noticed Hunter's scratched legs from breaking down the door, or the dried blood still on Luna's light fur. In that moment, love and courage outweighed every pain. Mia silently thanked Hunter and Luna, not just for their strength and loyalty, but for the invisible bond they shared. A connection that seemed fragile, but was stronger than anything else in the world. She realized, sometimes, the mightiest warriors wear no uniforms or medals, but are those silent souls who protect their loved ones with every breath. And so, in the dawn light streaming through the doorway, the three, Kayla, Luna, Hunter, and Mia, found each other once more, ready to face whatever came next, with unwavering faith in love, courage, and the eternal loyalty of these extraordinary dogs. The moment after Hunter burst through the door of the old warehouse and rescued Kayla and Luna, none of them had quite caught their breath. The air in the damp, musty room was still thick with anxiety, but Luna's eyes shone brightly, alert, intelligent, as if she knew their journey wasn't over yet. Next to her, Kayla was still shaking with fear. She hugged Luna tightly, burying her face in the dog's soft fur, whispering through tears, "Thank you. Thank you, Luna. If it weren't for you, I don't know if I'd still be here." Luna gently licked Kayla's cheek, her tail wagging in comfort. But then the little dog pulled away, as if she sensed a new, more important mission ahead. Hunter stood beside Mia, ears pricked high, scanning the warehouse as if searching for something vital. Luna moved over to Kayla, lowering herself and cleverly snaking her nose between the ropes, still loosely tied around Kayla's wrists. Her every move was slow but sure. Strong teeth gently loosened the knot, front paws held the rope steady, and she glanced back as if to say, "Don't worry, I've got this." Kayla stared in amazement as the rope slipped away from her wrists while Luna turned back, her eyes shining in the darkness. "I've never seen a dog untie ropes like that. She's incredible, Luna," Kayla gasped. Despite her fear, a strange new trust rose up inside her for the little dog. Mia, too, was moved. She softly stroked Luna's head, her voice warm and low. "I knew it. You're so clever, Luna. Without you, we'd be lost in this darkness." But Luna wasn't finished. As soon as Kayla was free, she started sniffing around the corners of the room, her small nose sweeping the floor, the wooden boards, even faded scratches on the walls. Hunter joined in, helping Luna check every shadow. Soon, Luna stopped by a battered cardboard box in the corner. She dug through some crumpled papers and pulled out a blood-stained scrap of fabric and a lighter with a strange logo. Clear evidence left behind by Kayla's kidnapper. Mia and Kayla immediately recognized the shirt as belonging to the man who had attacked Kayla, Luna's bite marks still visible at the hem, an unmistakable signature. "Luna, you left a trace to identify the kidnapper. We have to give this shirt to Lena," Mia exclaimed, both relieved and anxious. Kayla squeezed her sister's hand, feeling, for the first time, a sense of trust and unity with both dogs. Luna kept sniffing, leading the group toward the warehouse's back door, her curled tail pointing the way like a silent commander. Hunter followed, his broad shoulders shielding Kayla, while Mia's eyes stayed on Luna, sometimes meeting those of her dogs with gratitude and awe. Outside, dawn was just breaking, its weak light spilling into the corners, illuminating the image of people and dogs overcoming hardship, not just with strength, but with loyalty and intelligence. At the back path, Luna suddenly stopped, taking a deep sniff at a faint footprint in the wet ground. She scratched at it, then barked softly to alert the others. Mia knelt for a closer look, finding the mud still fresh and a clear imprint of a sneaker lace, matching Kayla's description of the kidnapper. Kayla looked at Luna, her gaze shifting from fear to awe, almost whispering just for herself. "Maybe for the first time, I believe a dog could save my whole world, Mia." Mia smiled, resting her hand on Hunter's head and stroking Luna's back, whispering, "That's right. Luna and Hunter have proven that, not just once, but hundreds of times, with hearts full of love, courage, and remarkable intelligence. Thanks to them, we have hope and the clues to keep going in our quest for justice." In the shimmering morning light, the two sisters and their four-legged friends kept moving forward, toward a new horizon where truth and justice waited to be revealed. And behind them, the paw prints of Luna and Hunter pressed into the earth, a reminder of friendship and of unconditional love that would last forever. The first rays of sunlight crept through the window, and the small house still held the lingering echoes of reunion. Yet deep inside, Mia never truly felt at peace. She could feel the old links of the past tightening around her every night, every sweat-soaked dream. These days, being able to hug Hunter, feeling Luna's tongue lick away her tears, having Kayla close by, that was a great happiness. But it also made her long even more for answers to a pain she had never dared voice. That morning, it was as if Luna sensed her thoughts. The smart, sensitive little dog suddenly got up, circled the yard, nose pressed close to every tree root, eyes occasionally glancing back at Mia with a knowing look. Hunter also sprang to his feet, ears pricked high, flanking Luna like two loyal sentinels of the house. Mia watched the two dogs, an uneasy feeling rising in her chest. She called softly, "Luna, what is it, girl?" Luna looked up, whined, then ran to the gate, stopping beneath the old oak tree in the corner of the garden. Without another word, Hunter rushed over too, nosing through the dead leaves, beginning to dig. Kayla ran out, her face worried. "What's going on? Why are Hunter and Luna acting so strange? Maybe they've sniffed out something. Let me check." Mia knelt down, joining the two dogs in digging deep into the earth. Soon enough, Luna deftly unearthed a small metal box, tarnished by the years. Her eyes sparkled with pride, as if to say, "We found it, Mom." Kayla helped brush off the dirt, finding an old, rusted lock. After rummaging through her keyring, she finally managed to open it, the lock popping open with a dry snap. Inside, they found a bundle of old documents, most of the papers yellowed with age, and a small blue USB drive. Mia slumped to the ground, hands trembling as she opened each page. Every line cut into her memory like a blade. Internal report. Cause of explosion unclear. Severe neurological injury. Recommended for discharge. Related subject, Mia Carter. Classified material storage supervisor. Some sections had been crossed out in red pen. Most of the information was obscured, but Mia immediately recognized the timeline. The exact night her life took a different turn. Kayla was shocked. "Sis, why would they write something so harsh?" Mia didn't answer, just hugged the file tightly to her chest, tears brimming in her eyes. A torn memory returned. Sleepless nights in the barracks, the hurried footsteps, the commander's icy gaze as he ordered the armory sealed. "You don't need to come back, Mia. We'll handle the rest." The voice was cold as ice, followed by a loud explosion, fragmented memories, the smell of smoke, and a searing pain down her back. After the blast, Mia woke up in a military hospital with her file sealed, the reason given as unexpected injury, and a forced early discharge. But deep down she had always known she had seen something. Something highly sensitive about the military supply depot. A secret someone wanted to bury forever. Sensing Mia's hands trembling, Luna gently pressed her head to her owner's chest, brown eyes full of empathy and sorrow. Hunter lay close by, his slow breaths seeming to transmit calm to both sisters. Kayla slumped to the ground, putting an arm around Mia's shoulders, tears rolling down her cheeks. "You don't have to say anything, sis. I just need to know you've suffered enough. And me, Hunter, Luna, we're not letting you be alone anymore." The air was heavy with unspoken memories. But amid the pain, a ray of hope broke through. It was Hunter and Luna, with their absolute loyalty, who had sparked the journey to justice that had been buried for years. They sat together for a long time, the eyes of 3 living souls, 2 people, 2 dogs, turned toward the horizon, where the morning sun shone on a new chapter. And they knew, no matter what dangers lay ahead, as long as they had each other, the truth would one day come to light. Luna barked softly, as if to remind, "We must never give up." Hunter stared into the distant woods, as if declaring, "Anyone who harms this family will pay." Mia wiped her tears, kissed both dogs on the head, and whispered, "Thank you, my loves. If not for Hunter and Luna, I'd never have found myself again." Because sometimes, to awaken buried truth, people need more than just courage. They need 4-legged warriors named love and loyalty. The memories of those classified files and the buried conspiracy remained vivid in everyone's minds, casting a heavy shadow over every breath of the little group. That night, Mia sat with Luna and Hunter by her side, her eyes never leaving the stack of yellowed papers. Kayla lay awake, constantly checking the windows, a gut feeling warning her that a real storm was coming. Only Luna stayed calm, pressed close to her owner, while Hunter, though always alert, was now more tense than ever, ears pricked, nose twitching, body crouched low to the floor, ready to leap at any moment. Near midnight, a faint sound came from the back of the house. Hunter let out a low growl, his eyes glowing like burning coals in the dark. Luna's hackles stood up as she circled around, guarding Mia and Kayla. Every sense of both dogs was taut as a drawn bow. Mia clutched the documents tightly, shooting a quick glance at Kayla and whispering, "Don't turn off the light. Stay quiet, understand?" Hurried footsteps echoed. Then the sharp crash of breaking glass shattered the silence. The back door burst open. A looming figure appeared, gun in hand, his voice raspy and threatening. "Hand over the files, or everyone here will pay the price." Mia trembled, but suddenly her eyes shone with the determination of someone who had survived the edge of death. Luna stepped forward, quietly shielding her owner. Hunter growled louder, baring his white, razor-sharp fangs, ready to leap into danger. Kayla, shaking, stood tight against Mia, gripping her sister's collar as if for the last bit of safety. The intruder moved closer, his gun pointed straight at Mia, eyes cold as ice. "Drop the files on the ground, now!" Mia hurriedly hid the papers behind her back, never breaking eye contact with the gun. Kayla sobbed, pleading, "Please don't hurt us." Suddenly, in a flash, Hunter launched himself like an arrow, his big body covering Mia just as the stranger pulled the trigger. The gunshot split the night, deafening. Hunter took the bullet full in the chest, his whole body collapsing, his breath coming in ragged, painful gasps. Luna howled, a heartbreaking, guttural sound, and rushed to his side, her instincts irresistible. Kayla quickly cradled Hunter, tears streaming down her face, her hands pressed to his bleeding wound. "Hunter, no, don't give up! Please don't!" The intruder, startled by Luna's howl, froze for a split second. Mia seized the chance, threw herself at him, wrestling for the gun. The struggle lasted only seconds, but to those present, it felt endless. Kayla kept holding Hunter, her cries hoarse with desperation. At last, with Luna's help, she threw her whole body at the man's legs, opening up space for Mia to force him out the door. The stranger fled in panic, leaving the gun clattering to the floor. Kayla and Luna turned to Hunter at once. He lay still, his dark fur stained with blood, eyes closing in peace. Mia collapsed beside Hunter, burying her face in his now bloodied coat, tears mingling with the crimson on his cheek. Hunter, thank you. Thank you for protecting me. Without you, I would never have seen the light again. Luna bowed her head, quietly licking the blood from Hunter's mouth. A silent farewell. Kayla stroked his back with trembling hands, overcome by helplessness. The space filled with sobs, ragged breathing, and the sound of hearts shattering from loss. In his last moment, Hunter half opened his eyes, seeing his three beloveds, Mia, Kayla, and Luna, gathered at his side. In those eyes shone pride, fulfillment, as if saying, "I've completed my mission. Now I can rest." His heavy head dropped, his last breath slipping into the silence. That night there was no rain, but for those left behind, a storm of memories and tears poured down, unending. Hunter passed away in his owner's arms, becoming an immortal symbol of loyalty and unconditional love. Luna, Kayla, and Mia clung to each other beside his body, promising to continue their journey, even after losing their dearest friend, for Hunter, and for the justice they were all seeking. In that little house, the pain of loss became the driving force, giving strength to the hearts that remained. And somewhere, far away, perhaps Hunter was still watching, always ready to protect his family from the other side of the rainbow. That night dragged on heavily. Even the first rays of morning couldn't dispel the shadow of loss hanging over Mia's small house. Everything seemed to slow down. No one felt like speaking. Everyone could only lean on each other in silence, quietly tucking their memories of Hunter deep into their hearts. In the small living room, Hunter lay on his familiar woolen blanket, his dark fur now still, yet his posture radiated the same dignity he had in life. Luna sat right beside her friend, her head bowed over his lifeless body, her ears drooping in grief. Luna's large brown eyes, once always sparkling with intelligence, now clouded with silent pain. She let out a soft, lingering howl, as if calling Hunter to wake for their usual walk. But only silence answered, silent and irrevocable. Mia sat next to Luna, her trembling hands gently stroking Hunter's blood-matted fur. Her eyes were swollen red from hours of crying herself dry. Mia could hardly believe she had to say goodbye, had to let go of a loyal friend who'd stood by her through so many dangers, sleepless nights, and lonely seasons. Hunter was more than a dog. He was a sacred piece of her life, a steadfast shield for her body and soul, both scarred by war and daily struggles. Lena had arrived early, too, bringing a small bouquet of flowers to lay beside Hunter. Her face was heavy with sorrow. Her hand gently touched the dog's head as she choked out her words. "You were a true warrior, Hunter. Thank you for protecting everyone until the very end." Kayla knelt down, trembling as she pressed her face into his thick fur, her voice broken like a child's. "I'll always remember you, Hunter. Thank you for saving my sister and me, for showing me what unconditional love means. If I could do it again, I wish I'd opened my heart to you sooner." Luna slowly edged closer, nuzzling Hunter's body before letting out another howl, this time longer, filled with sorrow, a farewell sent out to the world. The sound made Mia sob. Her tears fell onto Hunter's fur as she whispered, her voice shaky yet full of love. "Rest easy, Hunter. Our love will never fade. You will always be a part of this family." The four of them, 2 people, 2 dogs, sat together in that silent moment, letting time seem to stand still just for them. Lena placed a gentle hand on Mia's shoulder, bringing a little warmth into the cold morning mist. Kayla buried her face in Luna's back, realizing for the first time that the little dog needed a shoulder, someone to comfort her too. Afterward, the group held a farewell for Hunter under the big tree at the back of the garden, where he had so often dug holes, played, or stretched out in the sun with Luna and Mia. They spread Hunter's favorite blanket on the grass, placed an old photo of the three of them laughing in the sunshine, then gently laid him down amid stifled sobs. Luna sat close, giving Hunter one last lick on the cheek, her eyes full of longing as if trying to keep her friend a moment longer. Kayla carefully placed the old wool scarf, once discarded, now folded lovingly, next to Hunter. Mia knelt, taking from her pocket a weathered leather collar, the very first gift she'd bought for Hunter when she took him in, and slipped it around his neck as a promise that this love would last forever. Lena spoke up, her voice steady, yet trembling with emotion. "We will never forget you. Every time I look into Luna's eyes, I know I'll see a glimpse of Hunter somewhere, still strong, still giving everything for those he loved." They stood in silence for a long time, listening to the wind rustle as if lulling Hunter's soul into a peaceful place. Luna quietly placed her paw on her friend's grave, her eyes shining with determination to keep protecting this little family, just as Hunter always had, until his very last moment. The pain of parting slowly faded into the morning, leaving behind an immortal love, the love between people and dogs, between souls once lost who found each other in life's storms. Every lick, every howl, every tear, and every embrace of Hunter would live on in memory, becoming the drive for Mia, Kayla, Lena, and Luna to keep moving forward in their search for justice and truth, never giving up, for Hunter, for that eternal love. As the midday sunlight filtered through the glass window, the large meeting room at the investigation headquarters was filled with a new kind of energy. Not just the regret over Hunter, but a burning determination to expose the darkness that had overshadowed Mia's life and her two dogs. Outside, Luna still lay at Mia's feet, her eyes shining with a newfound maturity and steadiness, as if she knew today was a turning point for those she loved most. Lena stood before the entire leadership, colleagues, military representatives, and the media. Her hands didn't tremble. Her voice rang out clear and strong. "Ladies and gentlemen, I am here to present all the evidence related to the attack on veteran Maya Carter, the unjust death of the dog hunter, and especially the suspicious details surrounding the forced discharge and cover-up conspiracy involving certain high-ranking individuals." The spotlight shone on the big screen. Lena plugged in the USB, and the video played. Footage of Luna bravely rushing into the night to save Lena herself from a burning car years ago. That fateful night now revealed to the entire room. Next came the footage captured by bystanders. Hunter risking his life to shield Mia, Luna circling to protect her owner, and Davis and Miller initiating the assault, along with their sneering remarks about Mia's skin color and the reason for her discharge. A wave of outrage swept through. The auditorium was utterly silent. Colleagues who once turned their backs on Mia now looked at her with regret and astonishment. Mia sat still, tears streaming down her face, while Luna nuzzled her hand, her bright eyes reminding her, "I'm always here, Mom." Lena pressed on, displaying the confidential files uncovered with the help of Luna and Hunter. She pointed directly at the redacted sections. The notes, "Removed from unit, military secrecy, absolute confidentiality," written by the deputy director who was once Mia's commanding officer. She spoke without a hint of fear. "These are clear signs that Ms. Mia Carter was forced out of the military because she possessed confidential knowledge about the supply depot. After the suspicious explosion, she suffered injuries and was discharged without proper procedure. The decision was signed by the head of Human Resources and the current deputy director." One executive turned pale, trying to object. "Where did you get this evidence? This is fabricated." Lena cut him off, her voice cold as steel. "All data on this USB has been independently verified by the technical department. The signature matches, the handwriting samples are identical to yours. There is nothing more you can deny." At that moment, Kayla stood up and handed over her notebook, where she had recorded every word of Mia's testimony about the explosion and the suspicious actions of her superiors that year. "We've contacted old witnesses. Some are willing to testify. With undeniable pressure mounting, the accused leaders' faces turned ashen. An independent investigation team entered the room, immediately ordering their detention for further investigation. Lena declared to the press, "Today, justice is not only for Mia and her dogs, Hunter and Luna, but for every veteran who has ever been persecuted or silenced by power and lies. Without the courage, loyalty, and intelligence of these dogs, we might never have lifted the veil on this secret." The room erupted in applause, many in tears. Mia hugged Luna tightly, Kayla sobbing as she grasped her sister's hand, and Lena bowed her head in silent tribute to Hunter, the dog who had sacrificed himself for a greater cause. Bathed in the brilliant noon sunlight, Luna sat quietly between the two women, her eyes glowing with pride. The entire town was grateful, admiring, and united in looking toward a new chapter of justice, where the truth was no longer buried, and the love of loyal dogs would forever be honored. After that fateful meeting, when all truths were revealed, and the injustices that once upended Mia's life were finally set right, a strange peace found its way into the small suburban house. There were no more accusatory voices, no more lurking threats in the shadows, but deep within each person remained empty spaces, wounds not yet fully healed. Hunter's passing left a silence nothing could fill, but the loyal love of the two dogs, the journey for justice, and the power of trust became a new source of inspiration, rekindling hope for Mia and for everyone around her. Mia sat on the porch, her gaze thoughtful as she watched Luna playing with Kayla in the yard. Every playful run, every gentle tug on the rope, every time Luna wagged her tail and looked up at Kayla, seemed to soothe Mia's heart. Kayla, once so afraid of animals, had now become Luna's indispensable companion, giving the little dog her sincere, wholehearted affection. The gentle strokes, the radiant smiles when Luna jumped up to lick her hand, the sun-drenched walks around the garden. All of it was like a palette of bright colors, gradually painting over the dark stains the past had left on the two sisters' memories. Mia reflected on her journey, from a wounded veteran misunderstood and scarred inside and out, to the day she stood up to reclaim justice for herself and her dogs. Through endless nights of restlessness and nightmares, it was Luna and Hunter who became her final anchors to reality, giving her the strength to rise up once more. The idea of helping others who had suffered the same way had long been in Mia's mind, but only now, when everything was clear, when Luna was still by her side every day, and when Kayla's hugs and encouraging glances had become her source of motivation, did she have the courage to start something bigger? Building a therapy dog center dedicated to veterans and trauma survivors. One late afternoon, Mia sat with Lena on the front steps, golden sunlight spilling across both their hair. Lena quietly asked, "Mia, are you sure about this? It's going to be a lot of work." Mia smiled softly, her eyes resolute as she watched Luna playing. "I've never been more sure. If Hunter could give his life, if Luna could pull me back from the brink of despair, imagine how many more lives these therapy dogs could save. Sometimes all it takes is a hug, a look, a bark, for someone to believe they deserve to live." Kayla sat down next to Luna, gently stroking her head, and for the first time asked her sister, "Can I help? I want to build this place with you and Luna." Mia put an arm around Kayla's shoulders and drew her close, answering gently, "I'll need you. Luna needs you too. We'll do it together." Soon after, the three, Mia, Kayla, and Lena, set about planning, researching legal procedures, contacting veterans organizations and dog training experts. Lena, grateful to Luna, always stood by their side, from fundraising to sharing her own experience with service dog behavior and psychology. On opening day, in the sun-lit courtyard, veterans lined up quietly, many with red eyes, as they sat beside a gentle dog for the first time in years, feeling the steady breath and loving gaze. Luna, now a symbol of strength and compassion, moved from person to person, laying her head on their knees, gently licking hands, or nudging her nose into the laps of those still hesitant. An elderly veteran, tears trembling in his eyes, shakily reached out to pet Luna, whispering, "It's been so long since I felt this kind of peace." Standing beside them, Mia looked back on her journey. A path marked by loss, but also overflowing with love. Luna's eyes glimmered with pride, Kayla beamed, and Lena nodded in encouragement. No one said it aloud, but everyone understood. Thanks to the love and loyalty of a dog, the power to heal had been planted in countless hearts once broken. And so, with each passing day, that little house echoed with new laughter, warm hugs, and gentle licks, like a melody of rebirth and hope. Hunter would forever live on in their memories, while Luna would continue her healing journey. Not just for Mia, but for anyone who needed a hand, a hug, and the unwavering heart of a loyal friend who would never leave. Since the Therapy Dog Center opened, quiet but profound changes have started to ripple through the town. A place once wary and distant from the world of veterans and animals. No longer were there skeptical looks, whispered gossip about damaged soldiers, or dismissive shakes of the head when someone mentioned adopting a dog. Instead, there were now encouraging smiles, warm handshakes, and a sense of care and respect spreading from person to person. Every day, the small gate of the center welcomed new faces. Some were veterans bearing deep emotional scars, others townspeople who had witnessed injustice on the street, and there were also young people curious about the healing power of Hunter and Luna. Under the eaves, the familiar sound of barking mingled with children's laughter, soft conversations, and gentle hugs. In the very place that once held so much pain, a new beacon of hope and unity now shone. Hunter, though gone, lived on in the community's memory as a symbol of courage and loyalty. A small statue was placed by the center's entrance, beneath the old oak tree where Hunter used to watch the world go by. On the stone, just a simple inscription: Friend, Hero. Every time children came, they hugged the statue, and adults quietly left flowers, bowing their heads in remembrance. Even in absence, Hunter had planted in people's hearts a deep respect, gratitude, and love for dogs. Luna, still gentle, affectionate, yet increasingly confident, became the living pride of the center. In the early days, many visitors were still hesitant. Some older folks or veterans haunted by war didn't dare get close. But after a few times when Luna approached, gently nudged her nose into their palms, rested her head on their knees, and looked up with her expressive eyes, all reservations melted away. "This little girl knows everything in my heart," an elderly man once chuckled, his hand trembling as he stroked Luna, tears welling in his eyes. Soon people began to share memories they thought long buried, speaking of pain and sleepless nights. But this time they were not alone, because Luna was always quietly by their side. Mia felt the greatest change within her own family. Kayla was no longer the distant, animal-averse younger sister she once was. She now actively helped care for Luna, patiently played with other dogs at the center, and beamed whenever she saw the small progress made by the veterans and their canine friends. One afternoon, as the two sisters sat with Luna, Kayla gently leaned her head on Mia's shoulder and whispered, "I never thought life could be this full of love and laughter. Thanks to you, to Luna, to Hunter." Mia squeezed her sister's hand, looking up at the wide sky, her heart filled with gratitude. But it didn't stop at family or their small community. The story of Hunter and Luna spread to neighboring areas through social media, news features, and inspiring talks led by Mia, Kayla, and Lena. They shared their journey, recalled the darkest days, the prejudice, the losses, and above all, the extraordinary power of the bond between humans and dogs. They're not just animals, they're family. Sometimes they're the only savior we have when the world turns its back, Mia affirmed at one seminar, her voice choked when she mentioned Hunter. Once, a stranger came to the center and sheepishly told Mia, "I've never liked dogs. Honestly, I used to think they were just trouble, But after what you, Luna, and Hunter have done, I want to give myself a chance. Maybe I need to heal too." Mia smiled kindly, handing him a shy rescue pup, believing a new journey was about to begin. On social media, images of Luna sitting beside Hunter's memorial or running and playing with Kayla in the yard drew thousands of shares and heartfelt comments. Stories of the center, of overcoming pain and rebuilding life through love for animals, inspired countless others, leading more families to open their homes to abandoned dogs and more veterans to seek companionship with these special four-legged friends. On Hunter's Memorial Day, not only Mia, Kayla, and Lena, but the whole community gathered under the old oak, lighting candles and sharing stories of the good Hunter had left behind. Luna lay beside Hunter's statue, howling softly, a gentle reminder of friendship, sacrifice, and unwavering loyalty. Standing in the embrace of her family, friends, and community, Mia looked at the grateful, joyful faces around her and suddenly understood. It was the love for these four-legged companions that saved not only her, but also a family, a community once skeptical and cold to affection. That is the magic of connection, something that can't be fully expressed in words, only felt deeply in the heart. The echoes of the Memorial Day still lingered in the small house in the heart of town. Yet that morning, everything was bathed in a fresh, peaceful light. The sky gradually brightened with the first rays of sunshine filtering through the leaves, casting warm beams onto the window pane still blurred with morning mist, awakening the atmosphere that had been heavy with sorrow these past days. Inside the living room, Luna lay curled up before Hunter's portrait, her posture reminiscent of the nights when the two dogs stood side by side, sharing every corner of the worn-out carpet. From Luna's perspective, the world was silent now but brimming with emotions. Her brown eyes gleamed with quiet longing, her tail gently wagging as if trying to speak to her old friend who had gone far away. Before Hunter's photo, Luna softly howled, a gentle yet resonant sound like a farewell, a loving call sent to heaven for brave dogs. Though Hunter was no longer beside her, Luna kept the morning ritual unchanged. Lying before the picture, rubbing her head against the wooden frame, softly howling, sometimes quietly licking the photo's corner, as if trying to hold on to the warmth of days gone by. Right beside Luna, on a soft armchair, Mia, Kayla, and Lena sat close together. Each silently gazed out the window where the dawn's light spilled across the floor and cast its glow upon a framed family photo of the three with the two dogs, placed respectfully on a bookshelf. Each ray of sunlight seemed to bridge past and present, carrying both memories tinged with sadness and the bright hope of a new day. Mia's hand gently rested on Luna's back, conveying a tender warmth and a promise to always walk side by side and protect one another as Hunter once did. Kayla placed her hand on her sister's shoulder, her eyes no longer filled with confusion or fear, but shining with strength and determination. Lena smiled softly, her eyes moist as she looked affectionately at Luna. Without words, all three understood this moment was the gift Hunter left behind, a real family bound by love that transcends all boundaries. On the small table beside them lay a carefully folded worn military strap, Hunter's small medal, a leftover gnawed bone, and a photo capturing the group on the day Hunter was adopted. These simple keepsakes now stood as symbols of an extraordinary journey, one of faith, courage, forgiveness, and above all, unconditional love between humans and dogs. Outside the window, birds chirped greeting the dawn. Neighborhood children began to gather, running and playing with the little dogs around the training center's yard. From afar came the sound of adults' voices and children's bright laughter. In the morning air, Hunter's presence seemed to linger. In every glance, every smile, in every moment, Luna continued to spread love. "Hunter is still with us, isn't he, sis?" Kayla softly asked, eyes fixed on the photo. Mia nodded, smiling gently, whispering, "Yes, he is an irreplaceable part of our family. Every dawn, you'll see his eyes in Luna's, in the courage and warmth that live in all of us. Lena sat nearby, unable to hold back tears, as she quietly stroked Luna's fur. Thank you all for letting me be part of this journey. Hunter changed my life, and Luna, she is proof of the power of love. Luna seemed to understand every word, lifting her head to nuzzle Lena's hand, then turning back to Hunter's portrait, howling softly once more, calm, gentle, yet filled with determination. That sound seemed to promise the continuation of Hunter's journey, to always protect, to bring hope and healing to those in need. Sunlight stretched across loving faces, over Luna's glossy fur, and on silent yet meaningful keepsakes. It was a new beginning for Mia's family, for Kayla, for Lena, and for a community that had just endured loss. Because now, Hunter's legacy was not just a touching story. It was a steadfast belief that as long as we hold on to love and courage, we will always find dawn, even after the darkest nights. In the yard, Luna quietly stood, gazing up at the vast blue sky, softly barking as if signaling readiness for the new day. And in that moment, everyone deeply felt it. A hopeful future was beginning, carried on the undying love between humans and dogs, a love that has saved and will continue to heal countless hearts across the world. Thank you for journeying with us and listening to the full story of Mia, Hunter, Luna, and their brave companions. Perhaps after this journey, each of us will more deeply appreciate the healing power, friendship, and absolute loyalty that dogs bring to human life. Have you ever experienced a moment when your dog became a hero, an irreplaceable true friend? Share your feelings or memories in the comments below. We'd love to hear your story. If you found this story meaningful, don't forget to hit like, share it with friends, and subscribe so you won't miss the next heartfelt journeys between humans and special dogs. Goodbye, and see you in the upcoming stories.